but when they destroyed little Grace Mitchell's farm stand and her mother, they made the one mistake that would seal their fate. They never bothered to ask why her father was overseas teaching farming techniques, or why the local sheriff seemed so calm despite their threats. They never wondered why their missing operative's last known location was near the Mitchell Alarm, or why their secure communication suddenly went dark by the time they realized Grace's father wasn't just a farmer, but one of the deadliest Navy SEALs ever to serve it. Was already too late. The ravens of Los Cuervos thought they were the predators in this small Texas town, but they're about to become the prey. This is the story of how a child's innocence, a mother's courage, and a father's lethal skills converged to teach the most ruthless cartel in Mexico a brutal lesson about American family values in Sunnyside, Texas. The difference between a simple farmer and a retired Navy SEAL isn't just training, it's what happens when you threaten their little girl's dreams. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Morning dew still clings to the vegetables as Grace Mitchell carefully arranges her produce. Display her small hands work with practiced precision, each tomato placed just so, every cucumber aligned perfectly. The wooden farm stand built by her father before he left bears the hand-painted sign, Grace's Garden Fresh. The early bird gets the worm. Grace mumbles to herself, repeating one of her father's favorite sayings. She adjusts her ponytail and straightens her overalls, determination evident in her young face. Laura Mitchell watches from the farmhouse porch, coffee cup in hand. Her daughter's dedication brings both pride and worry to her heart. The morning news plays quietly from her phone. Another report about cartel violence creeping north of the border. Albert Edwards' old pickup truck rumbles down the dirt road, right on schedule. The elderly farmer has been their first customer every morning since Thomas left for his agricultural consulting job overseas. Morning, Miss Grace, those tomatoes looking mighty fine today. Morning, Mr. Edwards' dad's special fertilizer mix is really working. Want to try one? Albert inspects a tomato with expert eyes. Your daddy sure knows his stuff, both about growing things and other matters. A pristine black SUV rolls past the farm entrance, wheels too clean for local roads. Albert's weathered face hardens slightly. Laura's hand tightens on her coffee cup. Grace, honey, why don't you come help me with break breast? Laura calls out, her voice casual but firm. Just a minute, Mom. Mr. Edwards needs his vegetables. The SUV makes another pass, slower this time. Grace remains focused on her sales, but Laura and Albert exchange knowing looks in the distance. Sheriff David Brooks's patrol car appears as if by chance. The morning unfolds with steady customers, locals who've come to rely on Grace's produce. Rosa Hernandez from the diner loads up on vegetables for her daily specials. Officer Daniel West stops by ostensibly for cucumbers, but his eyes scan the surroundings with professional interest. Laura maintains her position on the porch, phone in hand. A text from Thomas: training going well, give Grace a hug. All quiet there. Her reply is measured. Grace's stand doing great. Some new cars in town. Missing you inside the house. A wall of family photos tells a story few would notice. Thomas in his Navy uniform, medals carefully cropped out of frame. Thomas teaching farming techniques to a group of men whose bearing suggests military training. Thomas and Grace in the garden, his watchful eyes scanning the horizon. Even in that moment of peace, the black SUV makes a third pass just as Grace sells her last batch of tomatoes to Helen Edwards, Albert's wife. This time, Sheriff Brooks pulls up to the farm stand. Morning, Grace. Laura, those fells in the SUV giving you any trouble? What fellows? Grace asks, counting her morning's earnings. Just